Common Knowledge is brought to you by PureMTGO.com and InkedGaming.com. Use coupon code CCMTG10 at checkout for a 10% discount on all Inked Gaming supplies and accessories. You can support the show directly through Patreon at patreon.com/common knowledge.
This is the Common Knowledge Podcast. It's not about the cost, it's about the knowledge. Here are your hosts, Brandon Clark and Lobbert.
How's it going, everyone? This is episode 43 of Common Knowledge. I am your host, Brandon Clark, and joined with me is Sean the Lobbert.
What's up, friend?
Hello, friend. How are you, friend?
Good. It was a good week. How are you?
Oh, good. That's good, friend. No, it was a fine week.
Don't call me friend anymore.
Yes.
Anything special happen?
Yes. Something special did happen. Special. This is probably the first time you're going to hear about this, too.
Yeah.
But this mostly just pertains to listeners in the Salt Lake, Utah area. But on Tuesday, Oasis Games, where I go and play Pauper on Tuesday nights, announced like a league that they're doing, a Pauper league. That leads into a Pauper Invitational that they're going to be doing in January 22nd, I think. So this is how it works. If at any point between now and the time of the Invitational, you play in 4 of their Tuesday night Pauper events with a $10 buy-in, $5 goes to prize support for the tournament that night, and then the other $5 goes towards the Invitational. So 4 of those, play in 4 of those $10 events, you get entry into the Invitational in January. If you play in 8 events, you get like 100 full art lands of your choice out of like Zendikar, Battle for Zendikar, Hour of Devastation. So you don't get like Unhinged or Unglued or Unbroken or whatever the new one is. So you don't get any of those, but you still get your choice of Hour of Devastation, Battle for Zendikar, Zendikar, I think, are the 3 options for full art lands. So you get 100. So that's like 20 of each. And then if you play in 12 of the so there's 13 weeks between now and then and whatever. So if you play in 12 of those, you get a bye in the Invitational.
And you get like a little crown, right?
Oh, I am the Pauper King. I don't think you get a crown, but
I'm wearing one anyway.
You get a round 1 win, which is good enough for me. So that was cool that was announced. They're trying to build up the Pauper community here in the Salt Lake area, and that's really neat.
Yeah, 4 sounds doable for me.
Yes.
Like, Tuesday is like, I just spent all of Monday working on the podcast. I usually have to hang out with usually hang out with my girlfriend on...
You get to.
Verbiage is important. Yeah, Tuesday I'm usually like, okay, make it up to you. Let's hang out. Let's do some stuff together. But like 4 before the year ends, I think that might happen.
Yeah, let me know. Because carpooling doesn't work. I'm down in Salt Lake all day anyway.
Well, your voice.
Because I go there right
so
after.
Deep.
Really?
Yeah, you just
I might have bumped
Brandon
my microphone again. I might have bumped my microphone again.
All right, well, we lost where we were because my audio got screwed up, and so we're just going to jump into Card of the Week. We were probably mid-conversation about something, but YOLO.
YOLO.
No, not Card of the Week. Did I say Card of the Week?
You did.
Let's see. Well, okay, fine. We're going to do Card of the Week then. Mixing it up.
Card of the Week.
Okay, I chose this Card of the Week. It is Wretched Grif. This might be like the first card of the week that's not like a meta card, because not that many people play Wretched Grif. So I'm going to explain what it does. It is a 7 mana spell, just 7 generic, for a 3/4 with flying. When you cast Wretched Grif, you draw a card. It also has Emerge for 6, so you can pay the Emerge cost rather than its regular cost if you sacrifice a creature and you subtract the creature you sacrifice, its converted mana cost from Wretched Grif's Emerge cost. So, like, since it's 6, 5 and a blue, if you sacrifice a Mole Drifter, it's only a blue. So I like to play colorless decks or decks a little off the beaten path, and this has been one of my go-tos. It's a really strong creature, a 3/4 with flying.
Yeah, because you can play it on turn 2, right? Is that the earliest you can play it?
Well, I'm sure there's decks that can play it, like, super fast. Probably turn 2. It's really hard, I would imagine.
I guess, like, if you had Lotus Petals in your deck, you could play the for free guy, and then on turn 1, you could play a Lotus Petal, and then you could have Wretched Grif on turn 1.
That, I guess, but, like, how many cards are you giving up at that point?
Doesn't matter, because you're getting a Wretched Grif, and you played it on turn 1, so achievement unlocked. You got the silver trophy. But you've played it on turn 2 against me, and it's not that big of an expense.
No, yeah, it is possible. There is, like, Sky Shroud Cutter, which you can play without paying its mana cost if you control a forest, and then, like, your opponent gains 5 life. Yeah. So that takes 4 off of the Emerge, and then you have to just tap your forest, tap an island, and then put this into play. You're card neutral because you get a 3/4, and you've drawn a card to replace your forecast guy. So anytime...
but you let me gain 5 life, so...
Well, I have a 3/4 flying, so good luck.
I think one of the games you actually played with this deck where you made Wretched Grifs, I was at like 40 life. Like, I want to say you put all your Sky Shroud Cutters into play between turns 1 and 3. It was really silly.
I've played it in, like, that Emerge brew, and I've also played it in, like, my Mud brew, and every time it's felt good. If you cast it, like, off of Tron, so turn 3 you can play it just off of Tron, and you're getting a card, you have this big body with flying on the field that it battles everything effectively. Like, if you're fighting Core Skyfishers, that's profitable. If you're fighting Delver of Secrets, that's profitable. There's really nothing that can do battle with this.
So I guess my question is, and you can probably answer this, why aren't Tron, like, stock Tron decks playing this card? Are Dinrova Horrors and stuff just much better, or is there just not room for this card in their deck? Like, it seems like having something that is powerful that you can cast on turn 3 natural Tron is really good. I feel like the Tron decks lack that.
So its strength is its weakness in that deck. It's the cast trigger. When you cast Wretched Grif, you draw a card, and you can't Ghostly Flicker this, so they're not that interested in casting it. Gotcha. If you're going to be casting it off of Tron, it needs to be some other kind of Tron, and I think they would rather be playing, like, I don't know, Ulamog's Crusher or some other green fatty. So it is super niche, and not a lot of people are playing it, but whenever I have, it's felt good.
Sad. This is a cool card.
It is super sad, and I think it's just, like, not found a home yet. Like, I've tried to find it a home. I'm like, you can live here, buddy.
And then he's just like, no, and he eats it. He eats your house.
I've been fine with it, but every time someone else plays one of the decks I put him in, they're like, this doesn't work for me. And I'm like, well, why not? Come on.
You have to be a Lobbert. Only a Lobbert can win with this card.
I don't know. Like, that's why it's like the first of its kind is in terms of card of the week. Of, like, this is a card I really enjoy, and I want other people to find uses for it, but nobody else is playing it. So it's kind of like a be aware of it because I think it's good, but nobody's playing it. So most of the time we're, like, highlighting a card that you need to, like, watch out for or something in a meta deck.
Okay. Cool. Well, I don't have too much to say about this because I've never cast this in Pauper. The only time I played with this was when it was in Standard. I don't have a lot of context to say. It was really powerful in Standard.
Did people play it in Standard?
Yeah, there was a, I think it was Rug, like a Rug Emerge deck. It had some of this guy in it, and Emrakul the Promise End, and Ishkana Graph Widow. Maybe it wasn't Rug. I really don't remember. That Standard was a long time ago, and I've purged my mind of such thoughts.
Useless information at this point.
Yeah.
So, if you don't have much to say, as a final note, I'll just say that having your big 7 drop in like a colorless deck not being an artifact, so it doesn't just, they don't cast an Ancient Grudge and you just feel silly spending your 7 mana. They have to work a little bit for it. They have to cast like a Galvanic Blast on it or something like that. It dodges Bolt, so it's a little bit more safe than a lot of your other threats that you could cast off of colorless mana.
Yeah. So that was Wretched Grif, this week's card of the week, and now we're going to move into What Are We Playing?
What are we playing?
Who's that deck that Sean's playing?
It's Burn!
Burn! That's the sound that Burn would make if it was a Pokemon. It would go, Burn!
It wouldn't just be one of those Pokemon that just make a weird noise, just like...
No, I imagine that Burn is like a starter Pokemon. Like,
yeah.
Like it's like when you go to Professor Oak's laboratory and he's like, "Are you a boy or a girl?" And you're like, "This." And then he's like, "What's my grandson's name?" And you're like, "It's this." And he goes, "Oh, that's right. I remember. It's Poopy McPooperson. Do you want Burn as your starter deck? Okay." And then Gary chooses something else, and then you fight. That's what Burn would be if it was in the Pokemon world.
Yeah, I did a league this week, and started off super hot, just like 5-minute games, 3 in a row, and then I hit some roadblocks, and it was down to like, if I had just one more draw, they didn't top deck the perfects, I would have won. I was like feeling so confident, like I was gonna 5-0, and it just crumbled in front of my eyes.
So what are your... You can probably maybe can answer this question a little better now, but I've just been thinking about it. And how do you feel about Burn as like one of the best decks in the format? I feel like it's definitely got to be one of the best decks in the format.
I do think it's one of the best decks in the format. Like, I don't know if I would put it... Oh, I think I'd put it in like top 4 or 5.
I think I would definitely put it at top 5, and I would probably have it even in the top 3.
I would say most likely, yeah. I would agree with that. Like,
Burn is dumb.
You have unbeatable draws, and then you have draws that are beatable, but
so
still really, really good.
Is it also fair to say that if Searing Blaze was not a card, this deck wouldn't be as good as it is right now?
Well, of course, because Searing Blaze is bonkers. Like,
okay. I just didn't know if
a really good card out of a deck.
I just didn't know if like I was just overvaluing Searing Blaze because I always just play decks that are really bad against it, but it just feels like anytime Searing Blaze gets cast, I just feel like, oh, I can't win this game. Like I almost just want to concede when they cast the first Searing Blaze, and it's just like, what do I do? Like, what do I do? They've killed my threat to try and end this game quickly, and they've furthered their game plan at the same time. You know, it's not like I'm going to put a bunch of pressure on and make them throw burn spells at my creatures, and then I'm still at 15 life. It's like, no, you're at 12, and I killed your guy. Like, is that just... I mean, this is silly to say because, like, Fire Blast is a card in this deck, but is Searing Blaze just not the best card in that deck? Like, in the context of this format?
It's close. It's certainly super up there. Lightning Bolt is probably the best card in the deck. Fire Blast might beat it out.
Sure.
But like,
I mean, not like looking at just like sheer power level, like in a vacuum, but like in the context of Pauper, the way this format is and the way that the decks try to combat burn,
it does have to be like.
I feel like it's got to be the best card in the deck in the context of this format.
Yeah, like slowing down your opponent while like keeping your clock exactly like what it would be if you were playing something like lightning strike or something like that.
So like from like playing elves and stuff, like I would never feel bad about Well-Wisher getting lightning bolted. I would always feel good about that.
Mm-hmm.
But playing a 2-mana do-nothing creature in elves that's just going to get Searing Blazed, it just feels like the worst thing in the world.
The only thing that gives me a little bit of pause is I've felt the awkward draws with Searing Blaze where you draw 2 or 3 and you're just not drawing lands. Like a hand that's supposed to be great with like 2 lands and a whole bunch of spells, and you go to turn like you've drawn like 4 or 5 cards and you're still on 2 land. A Searing Blaze feels just not very good in that hand, since it's only doing 1 to a creature, 1 to your opponent, and it takes up your entire turn. So there are situations where it's not as great, and there's a little bit of a drawback, but the ceiling's super, super high and worth it. It gets even better when you're on the Lava Runner plan, because it's also clearing the way for you.
So basically, it can contribute to sort of the clunkier draws. Like it can be one of the main factors for you just losing because your deck piddled out on you, but it also is responsible for more of the nut draws in that deck.
Yeah, both. That's exactly correct.
It just does both. Okay.
I feel like that's what a card with a high ceiling and a drawback is like what they do. It's like either it's fantastic or you're just like wishing that it wasn't in your hand.
Gotcha. Okay. And maybe it's just the decks I play are all prone to getting blown out by Searing Blaze.
No, that was like my caveat of like, it's not like all upside. There's these drawbacks, but it's like top couple cards in the deck, like for sure.
Okay. And I mean, the drawbacks of it are probably not that high. You know, like
right.
I got to imagine that like the hands where you draw more than 2 and then don't see like a third land are probably fairly low, like the percentage that happens. You know, like that's probably in like the bottom 15% of games you play.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Well, I hate Searing Blaze forever. It's the new bane of my existence.
Yeah, I play really weird. Like, I won't play out my last land, even if I'm like, I cast 2 spells this turn. Well, I won't.
But what if I draw a Searing Blaze?
Yeah, you have to. It's a play around card, and Burn is completely devoid of them except for that card.
Gotcha. Okay.
So what'd you play this week?
I played Blue-Black Delver. What would Blue-Black Delver say if it was a Pokemon? I would imagine that this would be like a stage 3 evolutionary type, you know? Like if Mono Blue Delver is the starter and Scred Delver is the middle evolution, I think that this is the 3rd evolution. This would be one of those that just makes a sound.
Yeah, I was thinking of Gurmag Angler's face just going
That's what the sound it would
His
probably
little dangly
make.
Just going whoop, whoop, whoop.
What attacks would a Gurmag Angler have? Mud Spout.
We're
just like spitting mud balls at people.
It would definitely be like a dark water type or something like that. Well, I think we're super off topic.
Yeah, this deck is still the truth. I love it. I played a few matches against Burn with it, and even though I lost the majority of them, it felt like they were all like very winnable. Like it felt like, oh, if I would have not stumbled or missed my 3rd land drop or something, like I think I would have won this game. Or like if I would have drawn a Daze in this hand, I think I win this game. Like they all felt like really close games, which I very rarely got that feeling with Scred Delver. So I don't know. I still want to play some more games with it, obviously, before I say anything definitive, which I'm prone to doing, just making blanket over the top statements. So I'm going to try to hold that back and have some more facts on it, but it's just feels very strong. Like I said, like just falling back on the Gurmag Angler thing was just, there were a few games where I was just in spots where I'm just like, I have no business winning this game. Take 10. Got it. Like I played against Black Red, Tortured Existence, just chittering rats me to death kind of stuff. And it's just like, I made some quick Gurmag Angler and a Sultai Scavenger, and he just had to blow his chittering rats for 5. And then I just made or Crypt Rats, sorry, Crypt Rats. And then I just played another Gurmag Angler, and it's just like, okay, can I hit myself for 5 again to kill your Gurmag Angler? And it's like, by the time he gets it back into his hand and cycles through it and casts it again and has mana to do it, I've already hit him for 5 again with Gurmag Angler.
And he's taken a lot of damage to even do it.
Yeah, and there was like no other way for me to win that game. It was just like, I drew 2 Gurmag Anglers. Cool.
So this is what I'm afraid of. I don't want Blue-Black Delver to be a flash in the pan, and you're saying it doesn't feel like it? Like, I
don't think it feels like it. I don't know. I think that Gurmag Angler is one of the most powerful creatures in the format. Just in terms of raw stats and mana efficiency. That, and I just think that Turbo Gurmag Angler decks are good right now. Like, or maybe not good right now, but they're just good in general.
I just love the fact that your Gurmag Angler demands that your opponent double or triple blocks, and then you can just surprise them with some kind of kill spell, and that's like advantage on advantage. Like,
yeah. And I said this during our Blue-Black Delver episode, but Ghastly Demise is just strictly better than Skred in this
Ghastly?
deck. We're
not going back to Pokemon.
Ghastly? What's that card called?
No, it's Ghastly Demise. It's just Ghastly's a Pokemon. Deal with it.
I thought I might have called it the wrong thing. I'm pretty sure I have that right.
Yeah. I'm just a troll.
I seriously, I think that's just a strictly better version, better Skred. It's just better than Skred. It just scales bigger than Skred will ever do. You're never hurt by casting Gush, because that's always a thing. Like, oh no, if I Gush here, I'm down to 3 lands, and then I can't kill their 4 toughness thing or their 5 toughness huge Gurmag Angler or something. Ghastly Demise doesn't care. Like, you just have so many cards in your graveyard, and you just fill your graveyard so quickly.
Okay, one last thing before we get into our main topic. Do you ever miss Lightning Bolt? Is that like a big like detractor or like any kind?
No. Like, Skred wasn't a deck that was ever burning people out with Lightning Bolt. Like, there's never a situation where I'm just like able to scrap them down and then just like bolt them. I mean, that happens. Mm-hmm. But it's not so common that it's like a normal play pattern. Like, your normal play pattern is that you're using your lightning bolts to clear the way for your little guys.
Well, and it happened to me in a top 8 of a GP. So like,
that was the outlier. I mean, obviously when lightning bolt is in someone's deck, you always have a fear of hitting a certain life total.
Yeah.
But Skred Delver just never created game scenarios or very, very rarely created game situations where you're like, okay, I'm on the bolt your face plan. Because your creatures were just very small. You were more concerned about, okay, I'm going to get this out of my way so I can hit him for 2 with my ninja. You were just not, that was never really plan A or B or C. Like, that's like plan D. Like, oh, somehow I managed to get him down to 4. Let's see if I can get in that last point of damage and bolt his face. That just didn't happen very often. But so no, I don't think I miss Lightning Bolt that much. I think that Ghastly Demise, Ghastly, and Disfigure are fine. I think those cards do fine. One more thing that I do want to make a note of before we move on, and I'm going to sound really dumb to say this, but hopefully there's someone out there just as dumb as I am who needs to hear it. The reason Augur of Bolas is in your sideboard, or one of the reasons, is this deck just gets poo-pooed on by edicts.
Oh,
so
okay.
Augurs are very good for protecting your Gurmag Anglers for edicts. I played a game against Blue-Black Alchemy, and I was just like, oh no, he has edicts in his deck. I could never play out like a turn 1 Delver against them because I always had to save it so I could go Delver plus Gurmag Angler in a single turn and not get blown out by an edict. And the Augur Boluses were really good in the sideboard.
Okay.
Because I was kind of looking at them, I was just like, what are these for? Like, this seems kind of interesting, but that was
I
a
thought
big
the
one.
same thing. And
That
I
was
was
a
like,
big one.
yeah, I guess the logic is that you can't play Stormbound Geist.
I thought the sideboard did play Stormbound Geist.
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know nothing.
The deck, I'm pretty sure the sideboard did play Stormbound Geist. I don't know. I was playing Stormbound Geist in my sideboard. But I don't know. I'm sure there's something else that the Augurs are really good for. But that was the biggest one for me. Is I was just like, oh, he has edicts in his deck. Good thing I have these Augurs that I didn't know what they were for. So, all right, we ready to move on?
Yeah.
Cool. Alrighty, so
Main topic.
our main topic today, we're going to be talking about like tutors and toolboxes in Pauper. This was a request from a listener, sent us an email and was asking about what sort of tutors, stuff like that. So we're kind of going to cover some of the tutors, some of the main tutors in the format, and some of the toolbox effects and how that all fits in the format.
So the email is from Echelon Mockingbird. He's emailed us before. Thank you for sending us in emails. The email says, at least the first part, we might address the second part at a later date. What are the options for toolbox decks in Pauper? Sounds like that's what Lobbert wants to play. It is. All the best answers and all the best decks. To all the best decks. I would guess a Demure base would be best for digging and fetching, maybe pieces of the puzzle, teachings, or transmute. So this kind of inspired a different-ish show. We're just talking about tutors this week, and I think toolboxes are like a broader thing of like graveyards can be a toolbox, and I think, is that the only one? Just graveyards? Or for just really good cantrips?
Yeah, sort of. But I don't know, I kind of think that tutors and toolboxes, I think, go hand in hand. Because if you have tutor effects in your deck, you're more likely to play toolbox cards. You know, cards that you might not play in your main deck under normal circumstances. But because you've got these tutor effects where you can just go find them in those weird situations where they're good, you know, you're playing a copy of some weird card, or you're playing different versions or effects, like, you know, same type of effect, different card. You're diversifying more in that sense, instead of just, you know, I'm playing 4 of this, 3 of this. I'm playing 1 of this and 1 of this, and I'm playing 2 of these types of effects, you know? Like, so I feel like they kind of go hand in hand.
Yeah. Like anytime you have a tutor effect, I feel like it just fosters toolboxing your deck. And that's just because, like, if you need that one copy, like, putting it in can give you way more percentage points than normal, like, if you needed to draw it.
Yeah. I think the best example of what I'm trying to talk about is the blue-black teachings, blue-black alchemy decks.
Yeah.
You know, they're playing, like, you know, their common stuff, disfigures, edicts, but then they've got, like, randomly they'll have like 1 to 2 copies of Echoing Decay, so stuff like that.
But Tron's doing that more. Like, it's using the tutor to both stall you and, like, it's mostly tutoring, I want to say, because tutors, I think, tend to be more expensive. Like, they're really priced highly because they're very powerful effects.
Oh, I don't know.
Right?
Tron has some really good tutors that cost them almost nothing.
Let's get into them.
Okay. So the first one that Tron has is Expedition Map. 3 mana to go get your Tron piece or your other colored land that you need.
Yeah, that's kind of expensive to just go find a land.
Oh yeah, you're right. Oh, I paid 3 mana for my thing, and then I untapped, and then I had 7 mana or
Okay,
8 mana.
yeah, that's what makes it acceptable because it's in a Tron deck. Like if you look at other things, like a lot of people are even on the fence about playing a Terramorphic Expanse, which has like its built-in cost into it of just like, yeah, I don't get to play a basic land that would enter untapped, but it has this tutor effect attached to it. Like there's not that many decks playing Sylvan Ranger because it's like the card that it's tutoring for is just that much less powerful. Like I think Expedition Map highlights
the power level of the Tron lands.
Both the power level of the Tron lands and the tutor effect is only as good as the card it tutors for. Because on the opposite end of the spectrum, we have like Goblin Matron. You can go search for goblins and Tarfire. Like, it's maybe one of the worst. It's not the worst. I want to reserve that for some other spells, but you're paying a lot of mana. You don't get a discount. The least you're paying for is Goblin Matron, which is 3, and you get a 1/1 out of it. Go search for your card, and then you play a 1 mana card. Whereas, you've netted mana off of Expedition Map.
So then we've got we kind of already sort of touched on Mystical Teachings, but we'll kind of just go a little bit more into it. So this is another scenario of the tutor is only as good as the card, right, that it's getting.
Mm-hmm.
This is, I think, another example that really highlights that, because 4 mana, go get a card. 4 mana, draw a card, right? Doesn't seem very good.
No, of course
but
not.
4 mana, go get my Echoing Decay to wipe their board seems a lot better.
Yeah. It's Mystical Teachings has really it has a lot of things going for it. I was going to number them and then I stopped trying. It's instant speed, so the mana cost is a little bit negated since you're doing it on their end step. And then it's got the flashback, so it's actually positive in terms of cards. It can tutor for itself. That's just lots of card advantage if you want to go do that. And the cards it gets, like, it's every instant in the game.
Or creature with flash.
I forgot that Mystical Teaching said that.
It's not super relevant in Pauper, but it can get creatures with flash.
I don't think I've ever seen anyone try to exploit that.
What flash creatures are there even to get?
Spellstutter Sprite and like the 4 mana 2/3 with flash that's a fairy. Yeah.
4 mana 2/3.
Blue-black fairies with Mystical Teachings.
I don't even know what fairy you're talking about.
It's just like this, like 2/3 with flying and flash for 4 mana. Like
That's
it's just a dude.
It's just a 2/3 flyer for 4.
Yeah, it just has abilities and flash and flying.
Huh. So that would be a scenario of it's just not worth it.
Yeah. You've played an 8 mana 2/3 if you're using the front end of Mystical Teachings.
I could get behind the idea of going to tutor Spellstutter Sprites. Like, it's like Mystical Teachings is in your deck to grab all your other instants and sorceries, but then you just randomly have like this fairies package somehow built in your deck. And like, I can get behind the idea of doing it. I don't think it's great, but like, I could get behind getting a Spellstutter Sprite, but I don't think it's good or that I would ever do it. But like, if someone wanted to try it, I could be like, yeah, go for it. It could probably be good. I'm not creative enough to make it good, but I could see it in some world.
I think the deck you start brewing gets nonsensical really, really fast.
Yes, definitely. Okay. Let's see. Then we've got this other weird tutor. So Mystical Teachings is like the go get instance. We talked about our go get lands. Now we have the go get auras, which is Heliod's Pilgrim.
It drives me nuts that this doesn't just say enchantments. And I feel like they I don't know if they did it on purpose. Like, they had to have done it on purpose to not go get certain spells, but Heliod's Pilgrim only gets auras. Oh, it was because it was in a bestow set, so it couldn't go get creatures. But it makes it so you can't go get Journey to Nowhere.
Wait, can Heliod's Pilgrim not get bestow creatures? Are they not considered auras unless they're on the stack?
Yeah, it's just on the stack and when they're on the field as when they're bestowed.
When they're bestowed on the field. Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. That might have been too busted for limited. My 3 mana go tutor my giant bestow creature.
But the creature's stats definitely suffer because the effect of tutoring any enchantment that is an aura is super powerful. This is one of the stronger, like this actually does see play in the hexproof decks, just as like a, maybe I need life gain, maybe I need to just go get my big kill you ancestral mask or something. A lot of the time this is going and finding your ethereal armor.
Yeah, this is also a really good way to mitigate one of the bigger downsides of enchantments hexproof deck. I couldn't remember what that deck was called.
Mm-hmm.
Like I just forgot what hexproof word was. But anyway, like, you know, you just have those weird draws where you're like, I drew 6 creatures. One of them was Heliod's Pilgrim, so it was kind of okay. Like, just sort of helps alleviate some of the variance.
Yeah, like you get a creature and the enchantment all in one little package there, even though the body isn't super great.
No.
Should we move on to one of my favorite Magic cards ever for never? Yes. Trinket Mage.
And this card is this card's only good for getting soul rings, right?
That's its best mode.
Because it's getting Sean's like a favorite format.
Top. Commander, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, if that's not. So this is my favorite card on the list, but whatever. Like I'm gonna gush about this card more than I should, most likely, so stop me at some point. So I think artifacts have some of the most diverse, like even if it's only 1 mana or less effects, this can get, I think, some of the most diverse things that you can do with a tutor. Like you can go get a land with this, since we have artifact lands. You can get your Viridian Longbow for repeatable kill. You can go get your Graveyard Hate, in that you can get Relic of Progenitus. You can get your Pyrite Spell Bombs if you need to do 2 damage to something. Aether Spell Bombs if you need to do bouncing, if you want to bounce. And I've also seen this being used as a way to go get the Life Spark Spell Bomb, so that you can do your enchant land combo, like you're freed from the real combo.
Right on.
I mean, it gets creatures too. But wait, there's more. You can get Court Homunculus. You can get your equipment. Like I love Trinket Mage. It's almost not used in Pauper. It's got a better body than Heliod's Pilgrim. Maybe the things it gets isn't as good as Heliod's Pilgrim because they're not so focused. But the toolboxy nature of Trinket Mage, I think, makes it especially good. Like in my Bomberman deck, I am playing a main deck Relic of Progenitus, and I can get it a lot of the time just because I have Trinket Mage. And I've just won games like that. Like they're not expecting, like I play against Tortured Existence, and they're not expecting to have to deal with that game 1, and it's just super hard for them.
Yeah.
Why is Trinket Mage bad?
I don't know. I don't think it's bad.
No? Like why? I mean, nobody plays it.
Oh, sure. I mean, I don't know. Maybe just a case of the what it's getting. I mean, I don't know. I don't get as excited about artifacts as you do. So when you're talking about a lot of the stuff that you can go get with Trinket Mage, it just doesn't sound worth it to me. I don't know. I don't even play Trinket Mage in my commander decks very often, unless I have like Skull Clamp, and I just need another way to get my Skull Clamp or something. In which case I'll have like Stoneforge Mystic, but I'll also maybe play a Trinket Mage. I think Trinket Mage has for its stats, I think that's like efficiently costed, right? It's got a decent body.
Yeah.
And it goes in tutors, any 1 mana or less artifact. I don't know. It maybe I think it's just a case of getting Court Homunculus isn't that exciting.
Yeah.
Getting Bone Splinter isn't very exciting.
So from my experience, and this might actually be like a good topic to branch out. Trinket Mage is too slow to play an aggressive deck, and it's kind of not like, if you can't play Trinket Mage in Tron and feel amazing about it. Like, you're going and getting an expedition map, but then you're doing a tutor for a tutor to get mana. You need a lot of mana to go get it, so it's kind of like in this weird middle ground of it functions best in a mid-range or control strategy.
It's like when you mystical tutor to go get your demonic tutor so that you can go get your win condition. It's sort of the same thing. Like, they're good in certain situations, right? Individually, like there are situations where you're going to Trinket Mage and it's going to be really strong because you're going to go get that Relic of Progenitus, Like, that's when I see Trinket Mage just being great, is when you're getting these niche just toolbox effects, this just one card hose your deck. I'm going to get my Relic of Progenitus, and now you're going to have a really hard time winning. Versus like when you're like, okay, I'm using my Trinket Mage to go get my Court Homunculus or my Bone Splitter, and then I'm going to have to try to put my Bone Splitter onto a creature, and they killed my creature. I have a 2/2 though. That cost me 3 mana. That's sort of how I see it.
The most powerful thing I think you can do with Trinket Mage, though, is grab Viridian Longbow.
Oh, sure. Yeah. That seems fun. That seems great.
But
that's another, that's a niche one of type of effect where it's like, this isn't going to be good unless it's great, and then it's going to be great. And so I think Trinket Mage is on the same level because we've said the tutor is only as good as what it goes and gets. So I think that probably attributes to why Trinket Mage doesn't see so much play. Should we talk about Transmute?
Yep. Your inner Aaron Yeager?
No. Not even close.
What?
Aaron Yeager.
That's I'm gonna edit that out. I can't even. No. Nope. What's his name?
Nope. It's staying, and you got to guess. What's his name?
I've already said.
You're gonna have to bleep it because this is all staying in. I'll give you his last name. Do you want his last name, or do you want his first name?
There's Ed or Al, and Alphonse Yeager.
How do you not know this? Isn't Brotherhood like your favorite?
No, it's not. Not even close.
No. Oh, okay. Well, no. Edward Elric.
Oh.
Is the Full Metal Alchemist, you nerd, and Alphonse Elric is the Suit of Armor. You nerd. What's the name of the dog girl?
I have no idea.
Big brother.
Only son.
What is that little girl's name?
I don't know.
That was messed up, man.
It didn't affect me as much. Like, when everyone started being like, oh no, like later on, I was like, okay.
I mean, I've definitely seen weirder stuff in animes, but that was kind of messed up.
Yeah, I guess.
Should we just talk about anime for the rest of the show?
No.
Do you think the listeners would like that more than us talking about transmuting?
Maybe.
Okay, what's the first card on our transmute list?
Dizzy Spell. So, transmute always costs 3 and it's at sorcery speed. That's some pretty big drawbacks.
That's definitely true, but I definitely did not make that connection until just now.
What, that it always costs 3 and it's always sorcery?
Yes. Well, I mean, I knew that they were always done at sorcery speed, but I just never made the connection that all transmute cards had the same
transmute cost.
Anyway, yeah, I had never made that connection that they all cost 3 mana, but they definitely all do. Like, yeah. Thinking about it, they all do. So that's kind of funny.
They might be more playable if you had some that were like,
some
exile a blue card out of your hand.
This is 2 mana. Oh yeah, because exiling blue cards makes another card playable.
Yeah.
So, Dizzy Spell. Obviously, this card only really gets played because it goes and finds 1/2 of the tribe combo. It also goes and finds, which is very important, some of the more niche effects that deck needs to win. So this can go get Giga Drowse. This can go get Dispel if you need a counter spell to protect yourself. This can go get the Shadow card.
Oh, Shadow Rift?
Yeah.
Does it ever just go get like a Ponder?
I never have. I've never used it for that. Like, if I have a Dizzy Spell in my hand, it's either getting Tireless Tribe or it's getting something to help me win the game or protect my Tireless Tribe.
Like Dispel, okay.
So so like sense. My Dispel or my I have gone and gotten with it a Piracy Charm. I've done that before after sideboarded games. But yeah, those are like the big 3. It's getting Shadow Rift, it's getting Tireless Tribe, or it's getting Giga Drowse.
So I'm going to run through the next ones really quick here to kind of demonstrate a point.
Okay.
So we have Shred Memory, which is black and a colorless, and you exile 3 or 4 cards out of a graveyard. I don't really even know that well. It can transmute for any 2 mana spell. So almost always this gets Exhume. So if your opponent has something scary in the graveyard, it has the mode of actually getting rid of them. And then the biggest mode is you go and find Exhume out of your deck. The other card is Damir Infiltrator, and I don't think this was before my time that this was ever played. This is a blue and a black for a 1/3 that is unblockable, and then it has transmute for colorless blue black. What this used to go get when it was played was Death Denied, the X spell, so X black black, and you return X creatures from your graveyard to your hand. So it returns itself, and then it returns a whole bunch of other things in this super grindy deck. And I would kind of think that these spells, since how we were talking about is they're only as powerful as the card you can go get, if you can choose from the entire swath of 1 mana spells or 2 mana spells, there's got to be something that's powerful enough. And when these have been used, it's gotta be a combo. The only thing that's powerful enough to justify the mana cost, because it's a high mana cost of 3 at sorcery speed, is these just super good combos. Otherwise, you just don't play them.
Definitely.
And then the last one, the last transmute card that's relevant, I don't know of any others, is Demure Houseguard, and it goes and looks for a 4 mana spell. I've never seen that played. It's a cool card. The actual body and what it does on the card, it's a sacrifice outlet. I think that you regenerate the creature, and it has fear, I believe. I should probably bring this card up and just not talk out my butt. But
yeah, it's a 2/3 for 4 with fear and transmute.
Yeah. Okay, so I got it right.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you're right. Yeah, I have no idea why I would ever put this in a pauper deck, but this card's really good in Commander.
You probably Commander's a combo format, so
yeah, it's going and getting 1/2 of my combo. So,
and we're such a tempo based format that you just can't. The things you have to go tutor for are that's probably why Trinket Mage doesn't see as much play. Is the things it's going and getting aren't just I win the game. It's I'm slightly ahead because Trinket Mage's card advantage, whereas Heliod's Pilgrim is going and finding you Rancor so that your 20 power creature can finally stop getting chump blocked or something like that.
Yeah, or Dizzy Spell you're paying 3 mana now to lose tempo, but you're theoretically going and getting what you need to win the game.
Yeah.
Realistically, just the next turn.
And then we have Goblin Matron that we mentioned earlier, and it's only there for card advantage. Like, you get a 1/1 plus your effect. It's super overcosted, and so it's incredibly hard to play.
Okay. And then this is another quick point that we'll touch on before we wrap up, and it's our Herd Aurochs tutors. So cards like Self-Assembler and Squadron Hawk. I think no.
They're not toolboxy tutors, but
No.
people will say you tutor for another, and that's just because you're searching your deck. But
right. I think that people will say that, but I don't even know if I want to get into this because I will literally just be arguing semantics. Like,
yeah.
I think that the definition of a tutor is something that goes and gets, any card from your deck, like those options. So you have options with them. And the fact that Squadron Hawks only get more Squadron Hawks, and the fact that you can get more than one, I think makes it not a tutor. So, like, you do search your deck, but I think by definition, it's not a tutor.
It's kind of interesting that these... So Herd Aurochs, Self-Assembler, and Squadron Hawk all fall into some of the trappings that we've mentioned earlier that some of the less good tutors fall into. They only get a very narrow range of cards, which is cards with the same name, and they're doing it for card advantage rather than just like to win the game, and so they're less efficient in doing so. We don't see very many Squadron Hawks in our format, and I have to think that those are the same reasons. Like, I'm not actually that big of a fan of Squadron Hawk. Every time I've played them, like, if you get multiple in your opening hand, it feels very not good. And
yeah,
when you're actually doing it, you're paying way too much mana. Like, we were from Battle Screech.
Yeah, we're just paying 2 mana for 1/1s that don't do anything on their own. Like, I think that there's like this stigma behind Squadron Hawk, because every time people talk about Squadron Hawk, people think about Cawblade. And that's what they do. But, like, let's talk about the cards in Cawblade. Jace the Mind Sculptor, Stoneforge Mystic, Swords, Batterskull. Do we now understand why the Day of Judgment control deck wanted for Squadron Hawks in their Stoneforge Mystic Jace the Mind Sculptor deck?
It does broken things with
Stoneforge Mystic and Jace the Mind Sculptor.
Yeah. That's pretty much it.
We don't get those cards, so Squadron Hawk's not good.
Yeah. It's a lot of mana, and
it's a lot of work for very, very little payoff.
Yeah.
And when your payoff was get a 1/1 that I can attach my sword to, or cast a 1/1 that shuffles my deck after a Jace Brainstorm, the upsides were a lot higher. But we just don't have those upsides in Pauper to make, the advantage of Squadron Hawk is that you always have a creature.
Mm-hmm.
Which the Squad Cawblade decks capitalized on because they had ways to make those derpy creatures good. But we just don't really have that in this format. And so at the end of the day, you're just paying 2 mana to get a 1/1 that on it, which just doesn't do anything. Like, I would say that, like, Self-Assembler is better than Squadron Hawk in this format because it's just got a better body. And this format, the body is so much more important. Like, your body has to do something good, or you just have to have a powerful effect on ETB, like, Spell Sprite or something.
So I've played Squadron Hawk and I've tried to get it to work, like, a few times. So the first time I did it, it was actually because I was net decking. I was playing a
dirty, filthy net decker.
Yeah,
for shame.
Net decking like a tier 2 deck. Anyway, it was tribal, like Tribal Zoo, and it had access to all 5 colors, so it put in the Squadron Hawk Brainstorm combo, and trying to do the Squadron Hawk Brainstorm combo in Pauper is super silly. Like, it's silly as in bad. Like, you're not doing that. That's so much mana, and the payoff is you get a few more cards that aren't as impactful as, Day of Judgment or whatever. Like,
yeah, plus there are just better ways to make Brainstorm good.
Yeah.
Play Mental Note, play Terramorphic Expanse. I mean, now we have Ash Barrens, so, there's just no reason to try to make Squadron Hawk work. And if your reasoning behind it is it makes my Brainstorms better, you're probably just playing a bad Brainstorm deck. And I'm sorry, but
yeah,
I'm going to get up on my soapbox here, and I'm going to protect people from Squadron Hawk. Because it's not a good Magic card.
And sadly, these other, Herd Aurochs and Self-Assemblers see more play. Maybe not more play, but when I've seen them played, I think it's to greater effect. Avarax, yeah. Avarax
is a really good example of one that I have respect for as a card. You've played Avarax against me, and it's a body that's impactful that I have to deal with, that has produced another impactful body that I'm going to have to deal with. And so, yeah, that's just great. Squadron Hawk, I'll just block it with my Core Skyfisher or my Battle Screech token.
I mean, it's kind of funny to say because, against Delver, where, a 1/1 in the air can actually be a little bit of a problem, especially if it has, a Bone Splitter or something like that. It's blocking really well, but it's also, people are putting it in aggressive decks. And maybe they're, I could get behind, maybe Squadron Hawk is worth it in, a White Weenie deck where you're going to be casting Guardian's Pledge, but it's after you've already put in Battle Screech, Triplicate Spirits, maybe not Triplicate Spirits, but all of those token generators, because they're just so much more efficient, and efficiency matters in this format a lot.
Yep. And Squadron Hawk just does not have the payoff for the mana cost.
And I feel like you're pressured into casting Squadron Hawk earlier than you want to get them out of your deck. I have to cast this spell because it's so bad if I don't.
Yeah.
So I might just draw more and it's not worth it anymore.
Yeah. All right. Well, we're going to hop down off the soapboxes to wrap up this show. And we've kind of just got one more question that we want to try and answer before we wrap up everything. And that is, are cantrips just better? My answer is yes and no. Mm-hmm. It's contextual. And this is where I at the beginning of the show, where I said I think toolboxes and tutors go hand in hand. If your deck is less toolboxy, your tutors, I just want to say, are less valuable, right? It's what makes it powerful, like we've said over and over again, is the power of the card that you're getting. And tutors are just better at getting specific cards for specific situations than cantrips are.
Yeah. I think they're less good in a value list because they're cheaper.
Yeah.
And
I would just rather have a cantrip, I think Tron doesn't need to play Trinket Mage or something because they can just play Ancient Stirrings.
Yeah.
Ancient Stirrings. Alchemy. Yeah, or Forbidden Alchemy. And those cards will, go. Those cards can find the card that you probably are looking for, but Ancient Stirrings is probably just one of the most busted cantrips in the history of Magic. But I don't know. That's my answer. I think it's a little bit of both.
Yeah. There's not one that's stone better, but I think in most cases, cantrips are better.
I kind of feel like it's just arguing apples and oranges.
It is, definitely.
They just do different things. They serve different purposes in different decks. Alrighty, are we done?
Yeah. So don't play tutors unless you got a sick combo, bro.
Bro. Such a sick combo, bro.
End times.
Thanks for listening, everybody. That was the podcast.
Don't.
Bro. Hit us up on YouTube, bro. Like, subscribe, and favorite Constructed Criticism, bro.
Ring
Check
that
us out
bell
on
icon.
Twitters, bro. Sean's on Twitters. Lobbert8 at Twitters.
Why do you always make the outro so hard?
Go get him, bro.
Does it have to
on-
be? I hate it.
You said bro, so I had to be a bro douche.
For like, how long?
I don't know, I probably could have made it through the entire outro. You know what? I bet I could do the entire show. That's a Patreon level. If we hit $100 on our Patreon, I will do an entire show in my bro douche voice.
Alone.
Sure.
We're never hitting $100 because no one wants to consume that.
Okay, fine. We won't do it unless you guys want me to. No one wants this. No one wants this. All right, for real though, guys, thanks for listening. We sure appreciate it. Check out our Patreon, which we've already kind of plugged a bit. Patreon.com/common knowledge, where you can get access to the Common Coliseum videos. You can see Sean's awesome graph of our power rankings. And of course, don't forget about our first stretch goal. Once we hit $50, we will be hosting the 5-card blind pauper tournament. All the information about that is on the Patreon page website. Go to the YouTube page. I want to say it's your boy so bad. That's one of the biggest ways you can help support us, is support the network that we are affiliated to. Plus, like, I need to listen to some more constructed criticism, because I can't even tell you if this is true or not yet, but I'm pretty sure Seth Manfield has just been one of the hosts of that podcast for like a couple weeks now. You know, Seth Manfield, the Magic the Gathering world champion.
Is that all?
Hall of Famer, you know, that guy.
But does he play pauper?
We can make him.
That would be nuts.
He's probably got a lot better things to do than play pauper. I don't know. That's what I always think. I always think that like pros don't play Magic for fun, you know? But they probably do.
Well, of course. Like
I bet there's definitely some pros that are just like, this is my... Like Ben Stark. Ben Stark loves Battle Box, which is just this random off-the-wall format. But he loves it, you know? So I'm sure that like other pros have that. But in my head, I'm always just like, no, it's their job. They're not allowed to play Magic for fun. Gosh, where were we?
I don't know.
We could have been done with this outro if you would have just endured the bro voice for another 2 minutes.
No.
Well, okay. Now the outro is like 3-4 minutes longer than it has to be. I don't even know where we were. I'm going to assume we were at the email.
Pimp the YouTube. Yeah.
Okay, email. commonknowledgemtg@gmail.com. Send us an email and we'll make an episode out of it. Because it's how we roll. You plug the sponsors. I'm done. I'm done.
Please check out our sponsors. We've got puremtgo.com. They have articles and deck lists. They're great. Visit Inked Gaming and use the coupon code CCMTG10 for 10% off at checkout. You can find us on Twitter at CKPodcastMTG. Brandon's back. Find Brandon at bclark_CK on Twitter. Find me at Lobbert8 on Twitter. Find me on YouTube if you search for Lobbert. And we have a Facebook page if you search for Common Knowledge. Bye!